It was not until 550 BC, or thereabouts, that Pythagoras moved this knowledge out of the world of empirical fact into the world of what we should now call proof. That is, that he asked the question, how do such numbers follow from the fact that a right angle is what you turn 4 times to point the same way? His proof, we think, ran something like this. It's not the proof that stands in the school books. Put that there, move this into this position, move that into that position, and now we have constructed a square on the long side of the right angle triangle, the hypotenuse, just so that we should know what is part of the area and what is not. I will fill in the area with that tile. I use tiles because all tile patterns in Rome, in the Orient, from now on, derive from this kind of wedding of mathematical relation to thought about nature.
Of all the cities in the world, Jerusalem has the most troubled past and the most troubling future. To the Jews, it is the site of the great temples of Herod and Solomon. To Muslims, the place where Muhammad ascended to heaven. To Christians, the place where their Messiah was crucified. After his death, the word of Jesus Christ took root, and Jerusalem slowly shed almost 4 centuries of Roman occupation to embrace Christian rule. But in the 7th century, the holy city was forcibly seized by a new faith, Islam.
So the horse is a weapon?
The horse is the most powerful weapon that a knight has.
And what's the most crucial part of that training to the horse?
Well, a horse is a flight animal. And its natural reaction, which is perfectly sensible, is there is a threat, so you run away. But what Steve's doing here is teaching a horse to override its natural instinct. The training should bring the horse to a point where it's really an extension of the rider, that the horse's legs are moving as if they are the rider's own legs, and that when the rider asks for something, it happens instantly.
I bet there were times when William felt he wasn't getting anywhere. I mean, he was still broke, but at least he was learning to join the ruling class.
Right now, he's working to move the horse sideways. The ability to subtly change your line against an opponent is extremely important. You know, this is really about power steering.
It just stops just like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Power brakes as well, very important.
Putting on their kilts for good luck, Wayne's team rushes to get in one final shot.
We did it! Come take a look at the rocks over here. It just pulverized the stone on the inside.
It confirms what we came here to prove, didn't it? That we've had a lovely hit smack in the middle, and it smashed it, and it's busted it right through to the bat. So it's quite obvious that if you've got one of these trebuchets, and you've got a castle like this, and you've got plenty of time to shoot it, you're going to knock it into a powder.
Its dramatic secret, however, has only recently been uncovered. After 5 years of intensive study of the Mormon picture by 2 researchers in Texas, Jack White and Gary Mack, there is at last convincing evidence of a gunman up on the grassy knoll.
Is the guy that we call Badge Man, And it appears to me that from our study of it, his waist is right at the top of the wooden fence.
Gary Mack was the first to isolate the image, now known as Badgeman.
What I was looking at, to a lot of people, might have just been like looking at an ink blot or something. And all of a sudden, I started to see eyes and ears and forehead and hair. And little by little, the pieces of this image started to make sense to me. And that's when I first called Jack. And with his photographic work doing the blow-ups, we could see more and more and more detail. And at one point, we realized that this fellow was probably wearing a police uniform, or some type of uniform that was close enough to what the Dallas police were wearing, so that he could pass as a police officer. And really, to me, that was the one scary moment, because that was such a brilliant plan. A police officer in that location, away from where people were watching, if anyone did see him, they wouldn't think anything about it, because there were police in that area, although nowhere near where we see this guy. So this guy was an imposter.